AAP Events, the Northern Territory's most awarded event agency, delivering events across the top end for over 21 years. A team of highly skilled professionals committed to delivering outstanding events and experiences to our clients. AAP Events.
Hi everyone, welcome to the first session of Evolve at Renovated 2020, Navigating the Leadership Ladder. I'm Rosie Fall and I'm the Senior Events Coordinator at AAP Events in Darwin, the Northern Territory. I'll be the facilitator for the session today. I'll be interviewing 3 inspirational leaders on their success stories, career paths, and finding out what toolkits they've used to get where they are today. With us today, we have Natalie Bell, the Managing Director of AAP Events, Kirsty Forbes, Director of Meeting Events Pacific for Accor, and Caleb Bush, Managing Director of George P. Johnson. This is an important session for me as I'm currently on a leadership journey for myself. Everyone has a different journey and stories to tell. A part of mine is challenging myself beyond my comfort zone, and that includes being in situations that make me feel uncomfortable. If we start with a brief introduction on how you all started your careers, Natalie, would you like to start?
Thanks, Rosie. So I was born in Darwin, and I, as most people in small sort of regional towns, I left about 1 minute after I graduated, eager to get out and see the bigger cities and do bigger things. So I studied in Adelaide in France before I realised I really missed home, and I actually loved where I lived and my family and everything that Darwin had. So I came back to Darwin not long after finishing my tertiary studies, and over the last 10 years I've worked in a variety of roles in events, comms and public relations, and across government, private sector, for the police, and also with not-for-profits. About 10 years ago, I joined our family agency, Associated Advertising and Promotions, and we established AAP Events, which is a leading business events agency in the Northern Territory. So 10 years on, 21 years for the business this year, we've built a really great team. We're really proud of the reputation that we hold. We've worked on some of the Territory's largest major events and announcements, and yeah, we're really looking forward to continuing to build on that success, and yeah. That's me.
Kirsty?
Amazing. So I really started off, random story, someone just said to me one day, you'd be amazing at event management. And so I started my journey by kind of taking that advice and going and studying at APM Institute in St Leonard's, sport and entertainment management. And from there, I actually did some work placements back then on Rumba, if anyone remembers that, and Today FM, and then did some work placements with Accor. So going back 17 years, I started Accor as a marketing coordinator and did some cross-training with Accor in event coordination. And I have to say that they have been absolutely amazing in supporting and growing my career, and it really is from there that I worked my way through operations, whether it be F&B, event management, business development, all the way up now into my role as Director of Meetings and Events for Pacific. So yeah, that's my journey.
Awesome, thanks Kirsty. And Caleb?
Morning, afternoon, evening. I don't know what time this is going to get played, so we might have to cut that out later. My journey was an interesting one. After leaving boarding school in a very institutionalized framework, I ran as far away from Sydney as I could and found myself living in Mallorca, Spain, and was working as a deckhand on a super yacht for the Gucci family for 2 years, and kind of got an opportunity to see the world and travel and go to some amazing restaurants and nightclubs and do all the things that you do when you're that age, getting to travel and live in Europe. And when I came home to start my university sort of degree, one of the things I noticed that Sydney's nightlife was kind of lacking compared to the European culture and lifestyle. So I started a small business doing nightclub and event promotions, and that business ended up becoming, I suppose, one of the main contractors to a business called Future Entertainment, which ran future music festivals all over Australia. And so I got to spend quite a few years while working at university building an events and promotions company. At the end of my sort of university education, I wanted to transition away from nightclubs and late nights. and I found a job at George P. Johnson, and the role was an events coordinator, and that was 10 years ago this October. So I spent the last 10 years there, I suppose, refining what I learned at university, and from traveling and through, I suppose, entertainment and promotions business into the corporate events world at GPJ. Been a wild ride.
Thanks, Caleb. So, Kirsty, what would be your key advice for future leaders looking to climb the ladder?
I think the one thing that I've learned in, as mentioned, going across all of those different types of roles and climbing the career ladder is that you really have control of your journey. Yeah, sure, you can sit back and wait for opportunities to be given to you, and you can work hard, and no doubt those opportunities will be given to you. But I think the most important thing to remember is that you have your goals in mind and where you want to achieve, and you drive your performance and your actions behind those goals. And you take ownership of those, and you have those discussions with your leaders or anyone within the industry. You will definitely move faster, that is without a doubt, and you will go in the direction that you take control of, not what other people will take control of. So that would definitely be my first point. And I think and in saying that, leading into a proactive approach and how you approach your career. So you're taking a proactive approach to make sure that you do own your destiny. And of course, being agile and being open to other opportunities that come your way, and that's without a doubt, you need to do that. But I think making sure that you're proactive, you're making those industry connections, you are studying or learning, and that doesn't have to be a university study. That could just be that you're really taking note and interest into what's happening in the industry and making those connections so that you can continue your own growth and learning and new input into the business, and people will find that invaluable. And I think the last point is, out of all that, the number one thing, you have to look after yourself. So making sure that you create those goals and that balance that you really want to achieve in your life, that you look after yourself, and that it's not all about career and work as much as we want to be successful. The only way you can be successful is to invest in yourself first, and really make sure that you have the energy and the vitality to drive through some of those times where you are going to put in a lot of effort and a lot of work, and take the rest and recover where you can as well. So that would be my points.
Thanks, Kirsty. Do you have any further advice, Caleb?
Yeah, look, I completely agree with the self piece. That's something that in my career took me quite a few years to wrap my head around. I suppose when you're climbing that leadership ladder, you're so focused on helping everyone else all the time and doing everything you can for everyone else in the business or your friends and family around you, that quite often the person that you forget is yourself. And you really do need to look after particularly your mental well-being through your leadership kind of growth curve, because you will find yourself often in situations that you've never been in before, and having the ability to ask those people around you is really important for that support. For me, I think another thing to probably be considerate of is sort of looking for those kind of opportunities that are around you, and not being afraid to speak your mind and really go after those opportunities that you see. Within your career or anyone's career, there are going to be defining moments that you can grab with both hands, or you can kind of let slip by. And I've seen a lot of people at GPJ kind of have these opportunities right there in front of them, and they haven't sort of spoken up or asked to be a part of a team or a part of a group or take that sort of challenge on. And so they kind of just get put to the side. And it's not that they're being overlooked, it's just that there are multiple other people potentially putting their hands up to ask. So they get chosen first. personally, that happened to me in 2014. We were looking after a client in Melbourne from our Sydney office. I was traveling at one point, probably weekly, to Melbourne to look after the client and to deliver a major project. And I noticed an opportunity for GPJ to enter the Melbourne market. So approached my bosses at the time and the leadership group and said, if there's ever a consideration for GPJ to open an office in Melbourne, I'd like to be a part of the core team that moves down there. And within 6 months, they'd kind of come back to me and said, hey, that's been on our radar for years. We just haven't really thought that anyone, or haven't known of someone who could, take that opportunity up. So within sort of, 6 to 12 months, I was the regional manager of our newly formed Melbourne office. And I suppose I jumped quite a few steps in the leadership ladder within our business because I'd sort of stepped around a lot of people in Sydney who just weren't looking or prepared to take on that opportunity. So putting my hand up definitely paid significant dividends for me in that situation.
Thank you. Natalie?
Yeah, look, and I completely agree with both of you on all those points. And I think, like we said at the start, everyone's leadership journey is different. It'll progress at different rates, and what it means to be a leader to everyone is also quite different in terms of what that means at home, what that means at work. And I think it's important to remember that leadership is so much more than a title, because leadership goes beyond management. Leadership's about the influence that you have, your ability to take people on a journey with you, and definitely to motivate and inspire and lead by example. So I think, if you are looking to be in a senior position within an organisation, to have the responsibility of leading a team or an organisation, and that could be a team of 2 or a team of 200, you need to make sure that you are inspiring people and that you are taking people along that journey with you. Also, like Kirstis said as well, I think, be proactive about making sure that you are highly skilled and highly qualified. That's both informal and formal courses. The more skills you have is never going to be a waste of time. No employer's ever going to say, oh no, you're too skilled to be a leader. And make sure that, I think as well, an important commitment to make to yourself in your leadership journey is to make sure that you're known in the right circles and known for the right reasons. So, have a focus on networking, be involved in your industry associations, make sure that people associate credibility with who you are and what you do. And I guess lastly as well is the importance of genuinely caring about what you do. If you want to be a good leader, then you will care about your team, you will care about yourself, you'll care about your clients, and you'll care about your industry.
Thank you, Nat. So we've spoken about how we have control of our own journey and the importance of looking after ourselves and just doing something for yourself every day. Do you think the people around us have an impact on our journeys now?
Yeah, definitely. So, they say that you're some of the top 5 people that you spend the most time with, and I definitely think that is true. So when you look at who your friends are, the family you spend time with, the people you get to work with every day, surrounding yourself with people who genuinely want you to achieve, but beyond that also hold you accountable, because it's easy sometimes to say and not do, or not easy, but it just doesn't always happen. So surround yourself with people that genuinely want you to succeed and want you to be the best version of you, that support that journey and that do hold you accountable. You don't wake up every day feeling inspired. Some days it's hard just to get out of bed, let alone get out of bed on time and be motivated and happy and active. So if you surround yourself with people that encourage you and have your back every single day, that's a really important support framework to have on anyone's leadership journey.
Thank you. And also we know about that Mia has a mentor program. Kirsty, what value do you see in this program for future leaders?
Yeah, I think as Nat said, it's so critical to have a mentor and a support network that you frame and continue to work with in your career journey. And I have to say without a doubt that if I didn't have mentors or a network of people around me, there is absolutely no way that I'd be sitting here today having this conversation. So I can't stress enough how amazing it is to surround yourself with the right people. I think Mia and the networking program gives you the opportunity to connect with people within the industry that maybe you may not have been able to form those connections. It also gives you the opportunity to form a networking and mentoring relationship with someone that might be out of your organisation, which is always a really true value, because you get that broader experience, you get that broader knowledge, and you get an external view of your career, and you know, somebody that can input from outside of your organisation. So MIA is a great way to establish your circles, and they are a great way to form those types of relationships. So I think anyone that is looking to seek a mentor within their career, I think definitely having one internally within your organisation is a great step, but then also MIA can be that support for somebody that could be an external mentor for you.
And Caleb, how else do you think that MIA can support the journey of future leaders?
That's a great question. I think there's sort of two parts of that. I think I'll answer the bit about MIA supporting the journey of future leaders, but I also think there's a role for future leaders to play in supporting MIA, which is equally important. There are a bunch of different things that MIA does throughout the year, whether it be branch committees or subcommittees, the Evolve conference, there's networking drinks and activities all the time that people can just get involved in and dip their toe in to kind of, you know, find their space. And then there's a lot more state-based activities as well, trying to, you know, better the industry, so to speak. And I think there's a big role for future leaders to play in supporting the growth of what our industry is and how we shape it. You know, I think there's never been a more disruptive time to our industry as kind of what we're going through right now. And it really will take, I suppose, those young emerging leaders to stand up and put their opinions forward and make them count in a way that is sustainable for the future growth of the events industry. You know, we're starting to see a huge amount of, you know, demand for virtual and online events and, you know, different hybrid ways of, you know, bringing brands or experiences to life. And I think that, you know, the millennial mindset has a really important role to play in how people start to engage with screen content. And it's not just about the live or physical experience. While that is still highly valuable and will always have a role to play, there's definitely a role for both, I suppose, live and virtual events moving forward, as we're kind of experiencing now with, you know, Evolve taking a different shape. So I think, you know, for any young aspiring leader, you know, everything that everyone's just said is actually so critical. Sort of, you know, look outside of your own organization, look inside your own organization, be really honest with yourself about what your kind of not flaws are, but what your personal weaknesses might be. And that takes a fair amount of vulnerability to expose yourself to, hey, maybe I'm not, you know, tightly skilled in the finance area, or, you know, my, you know, marketing skills need to brush up. And so having an external person can often kind of expose you to some of that stuff a little bit more. So
I think, you know, just on that, Caleb, you touched on earlier that it's the responsibility of yourself to be proactive and to look for opportunities that are out there. And I think that those opportunities for future leaders are both inside and outside your organisation, like you just said. So, you know, the opportunity to contribute and to learn. One of the big things in my own leadership journey, I think, was understanding that leadership was two ways. It was not only about me wanting to climb up the ladder, but it was also about me wanting to ensure that I contributed to what I was doing along the way. So whether it was, you know, bettering a project or bettering the environment that we're in at the time, making sure that as you are progressing, you're also contributing and developing. And I think MIA does a really good job of making sure that opportunities are there, and you know, being able to have, you know, like Kirsty, you put so much work into Evolve, and without people like you and all the other volunteer committee members, MIA Evolve wouldn't be happening. Rosie stepped up, done a huge amount of work for today's session. So I think as an industry, we've got a natural aptitude to work really hard. So as future leaders, look for opportunities that are there and work hard and be prepared to give a lot and not always get something straight away.
Well said.
Thanks, everyone. And so as event professionals, we all know the long hours and under pressure circumstances we face daily. Sometimes it can be easy to lose sight and we get consumed by the fast-paced environment. Kirsty, what advice would you give to yourself and others when you're feeling the pressure and overwhelmed with a to-do list as long as your arm?
That's every day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Look, I think the first thing is that I would say is to really be excited about your journey, and there are going to be hard weeks, hard days, and there are going to be days where you can have a bit of a rest and kind of just sit back and think, wow, this is where I've come. But I think the key thing for me, going back to our original point, is that you really need to kind of look after yourself, and during those challenging weeks, utilize some tools that you can really, I guess, take a hold. And I always say take control of your time. Don't let other people steer your time. One of the key things that will get you to have a look at and will be downloadable after this is something that we call the Wheel of Life. And that really makes you have a look at, I guess, in totality, all the different areas of your life and where you're placing your attention. Whether that be in your career, whether that be at home in your family life, or with your partner or your friends, or your health and well-being. It really is a simple tool for you to take away and say, okay, am I spending too much time in my career and not enough time at home or with my partner or my family? Or do I need to focus some more time on my personal goals? That could be that you want to, travel when we're allowed to, or it could be that you want to save a certain amount of money, and are you putting the right energy into all of those goals? So I think when you review your goals from a totality point of view in that way, that helps you to remain in somewhat balance. There's always going to be unbalance, so I'm not sure that we can ever talk to the fact that you're always going to have a balance of everything, but week by week, as you adjust, you need to adjust that balance to your career one week because it's demanding more of you, and then next week you can adjust that balance to your personal goals and to your health and wellness. So making sure you've got that well-rounded approach, and that will help to see you through those setbacks and those challenges, because if you are having a week from hell, you know that the next week you can refocus your energy, and it's just, that day or that week that you've got to get through.
Thank you. And Natalie?
Yeah, it's mental really, isn't it, events? Sometimes you sit back and you're like, oh gosh, why did I pick this one? I'm pretty sure we rate as either the 5th or 6th most stressful job of all industries, and no doubt we all sort of wake up some days and think, how am I going to get through this? So I think when things do get a little overwhelming and you can't see how you're going to prioritize everything you need to do that day, I think it's important to stop, to reset, and actually take the time to take stock and to prioritize what you're going to do and when. For me, it helps to ask. I will often chat to Rosie or chat to the girls and say, I just need a hand prioritizing this. Can you just help me see some clarity? So ask people around you, get feedback on what are the organisational goals, because sometimes you can get trapped on the detail. I think also for me, one of the big things that I've learned about myself is that I am much better in the morning. I like to wake up early. I like to get my jobs done early in the morning. By 3 or 4 o'clock, I can just use up aircon and electricity. Like, I'm not sure I'm any good to anybody. So I do all of my important work and everything that I've really got to allocate that strategic thinking or that critical thinking and brain power to quite early in the morning. And we'll try to leave my more administrative or less brain consuming tasks later in the afternoon. So I think being able to be most effective with your time and understand where and when you operate best is also really important to being efficient and getting through that never-ending to-do list.
Thank you, Nat. And Kayla?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things for me was teaching myself to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. And a very short personal story was, working on sailing boats at 18 in Europe and not being a sailor was a pretty uncomfortable situation. I had to quickly work out how to tie knots and varnish masts and, where wind direction was coming from and all these kind of sailing terms. And what I found that by, just sort of, pulling in those around me, asking lots of questions, kind of faking it till you make it a little bit, kind of like all of those things that you need to do to just pick up as much knowledge and soak it all up as quickly as you can, made me realize something about myself that has kind of carried me throughout my career, in that, a lot of people say to me, Caleb, you're always just so calm about everything. And I'm like, well, I'm actually not deep down. Like, I just do a huge amount of reading and study and research and, get all the information in the background, so that when I come to present something, or when I'm put in that uncomfortable situation, I actually know a lot more about it than I'm probably letting on. I'm just happy to be there and participate. And I think that's something for a lot of people to kind of learn. They say there's the duck, in the pond, and on top of the water, the duck just looks really smooth, but below the water, that duck's little legs are going at 1,000,000 miles an hour to drive him forward. And I think there's a lot of people in the events industry who have perfected that. Like, everything looks good on the outside, but deep down, it's a basket case. So to close that point out, I would say, get yourself in situations where you're not necessarily comfortable. And in our world, you can think of 1,000,000 different things that might be relevant. What's the worst thing that can happen on site at an event from a health and safety perspective? And I'm not going to rattle them off now, but the health situations that someone might get themselves into, and what's your reaction going to be? And do you have first aid training? There's always things in the office about having to, manage people, and what's a really stressful management situation that you could be in, and how would you act if you were to put yourself in that position? And I think if you start to run yourself through some of those scenarios, you quickly start to work out, A, what type of person you are, but also B, that you might not have the answers, and then you can go and seek them out. And, that kind of learning process is half the fun, I think, personally. So, get yourself in uncomfortable situations.
Thanks, Caleb. And if you could sum up in one sentence what being a leader means to you, what would you say, Caleb?
It's changed throughout my career. One sentence is really hard. I'd just say, give more than you take would be a sentence as a leader. I think it's something that if you can be constantly giving to other people more than you're extracting from them, it's going to be, a massive win for everyone around you.
Thank you. Natalie?
Yeah, it is hard to sum up in one sentence, and I think every day, either as a leader or just as a person, you sort of learn what leadership means, and I think it does change throughout the course of your career, and as you get older and as you're faced with new challenges and new opportunities as well. I guess being a leader it's about leading with passion. It's about leading with genuine care and working hard and providing opportunities so that everyone around you has access to be the very best person of themselves, both personally and professionally. Because if you can surround yourself with people where everyone shares the same goals, everyone shares the same passion, and everyone feels genuinely looked after, then everyone will look after everyone else in that group too.
And Kirsty?
Yeah, I think there's two things from my perspective, and you guys have definitely touched on it already, but the first one I would say is don't adapt to the energy in the room, but influence the energy in the room. So, take yourself, be yourself. We need you. We don't need anyone else. We need you there, and putting in your input and who you are as a person. Bring your energy into that room. Don't be anyone else other than you. And the second thing that I would say is always bring the energy that you do want to give back. It's not about taking, and I agree with both of you when you say that everything that I do and that I've learned is to be able to give back to whether it's people that are learning and developing underneath me, whether it's to the industry, whether it's to the people that are around me. Everything that I do as a leader is that I just want to be able to give anything and everything that I can to help others around me.
Thanks, Kirsty. So I think some key points from today would be, so you're in control of your own journey, and make sure you surround yourself with the right people and mentors. And just remember to enjoy the journey you're on and don't lose sight of why you're on that journey. So yeah, just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to share your story with us today, and we look forward to seeing everyone on screen at Evolve later this week. Thanks.
Thanks.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.